Hey, welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Hope you're doing well today. It is a Metric Monday for us on the show. And I want to talk about my three top metrics I like to use when I start coaching teams and helping teams out. And I would love to hear back what your top three are as they go. I'm a little bit later today because I needed to get a haircut, and my daughter, she's practice. I'm trying to give all my kids a trade, so they're buzz cutting my head. So they got a new razor, and they're practicing. So I will pay her though. She will make money on it. So I'm not going to make her do it for free. Anyway, so we're going to talk about my three favorite. If I could do this right, my three favorite with a three fingers. Hi, Bubbles. Bubbles here. Oh, there you go, Bubbles. You now happy? Bubbles wanted to be in the show. She. I don't know what she does, but she knows when I'm going to do this show. She's like insistent on being in the show. Now she's smiling. Well, as long as we make Bubbles happy. Anyway, we're going to talk about my three favorite metrics to start a team with, and one of them has to do with the backlog. And I'm really amazed how many Scrum Masters, Agile coaches don't talk about backlog. And I'm giving little tips how to shape that up and how all these should shape up in any format. So anyway, 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I'm Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical and tactical way. So you bring more value to your customer and not work so hard to get that value for your customers and have a little fun along the way. And Thursday put out a interview with Rochelle Williams. It was pretty good. She's an Agile coach out in the UK. Did an interview. The podcast is so much better than the video version because I had lots of problems with Zoom. I actually got to the point where I actually bought myself a new computer. One day it'll arrive here someday in the future. I don't know when. Not here yet. Looking forward to that, though. I got to redo everything once I get that. Because I think my old 7-year-old computer was just not hacking it anymore. But let's talk about my three favorite things, metrics to use when I have a team. Well, one is velocity. Now you could say velocity, what? Points, counts, pigeons, fruits, I don't know, t-shirt sizes, however you want to do it. I like to do my top one velocity, get that one going. Is your issue count. As simple as an issue count. Later on, as they mature and you want to, and they're seeing how issue sizes and how much complexity and all that differs, then I go into pointing with that. But at first, it's just an issue count. And having that nice velocity gives the team some historical data from which to say, yeah, we've been averaging about 60, let's say 60 issues or 100 issues or 1,000 issues. I don't know, whatever you get. You got 1,000 issues. I think you got too much stuff going on. But let's say you had that number or 20. I have lots of teams that had 20 issues in their backlog. You know, getting that idea gives them a good starting point for what they want to bring in, what they're capable of, unless they improve the retrospective, right? And I always challenge teams when they want to up the velocity for their team. Well, what did you do in the retro? What did you do to improve the velocity? Just don't improve the velocity, but don't up the velocity, but what did you do to improve it? So that's number one is velocity. The next one I have is burn down. Why the burn down chart? Burn down can be complicated. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It shows something's weird. It shows how the team is getting work done as they go. Because if you wait for the whole entire sprint, it doesn't give you, it's like, I have no data. How are we doing as a team? Are we getting stuff done? Is stuff flowing through the workplaces? Burn down is a real simple chart that shows, where you started at, your goal at the end of the sprint, and how you're progressing. Now, does it need to go exactly in the same straight line that shows on Jira or Rally or any one of those? Because it's really like a chalk line. You take it at the top and you snap it at the bottom. You ping it, and boom, there's your line. That line is just a fictional thing to give you an idea of what goes down, right? The reason why I like burn down, it tells me a lot. It tells me if it's done right in your system. Are we adding stuff during the sprint? Are we actually getting stuff done? Are we working as a team? Are things getting stuck? Now there's a thing different between stories and subtasks, and there's a debate on how many issues on the burn down chart. I get it. I've seen it. I experienced it. You have to figure out what you want to do. Sometimes I do 2 burn downs. When I do a task, subtask, and when I do a story level, right? So it all depends. Sometimes it's a combined thing of story and subtask. You have to figure out what you want to do. But first, I'd just like to track the number of stories that we're working on a sprint. As everyone works, it burns down a little bit. If things aren't burning down, the question is, why are we getting stuck, and are people helping each other, and why is it taking longer for stuff to get done? It opens up a whole realm of discussion, and they're too simple. They're right out of the box. So velocity, well, burn down goes as you work, right? So that's the very first thing you'll get out of the systems, out of the box systems, without doing spending any extra money. And the next one's velocity. You get a couple sprints in, you get your velocity. So it takes a couple sprints for the velocity metric to mature enough to be able to use it, right? To figure out where you're at and where you're going. Now, the third one that I like to do, and in this, like, velocity takes a couple sprints to get there. However, you can start looking at it the very first sprint. Like why I like to do sprint 0. My sprint 0 is different from everyone else's sprint 0 that I've seen. I actually give it a time box. It's practice. My sprint 0 is a practice sprint, but I want to get people getting used to the system, how the operation, the talk, the events, and having all those conversations. So that sprint 0 is what it is. We put stuff in the backlog. There's if a team existed before and they're just converting over to Scrum or an agile thought process, there's already stuff in the backlog. So the backlog is not necessarily a bad a worry. Some teams like, well, you got to spend 6 months building backlog. No, just throw some stuff. You got to set up your computers. What you got to do? Like this morning, I had some issues logging in. Maybe it's just computer issue, logins, credentials, getting familiar with the product, stories like that go in the sprint 0 that may not be necessary writing code right away, right? Because I don't know if anybody wants anybody to write in your code first day, unless they already worked in the team and then they're there. So anyway, so now the backlog. What about the backlog? What I like to do is a health backlog thing. I actually start off simple with the excuse me, cat hair. That. I don't know. Something. So I like to start, simple flow. Let's just say to do, in process, done. Simple, right? As I'm building that out, I challenge my product owners and my business analysts, and I measure them too, because sometimes they think they don't have to get measured and they just do their thing. But I like to measure them because I like people to work as they go, not wait to the last minute. So I add probably a couple more steps to the workflow that relates to just product owner and business analyst. And in that workflow, I use like you got to open state or just created state, whatever, brand new, nothing, just a blank line with some stuff. I do like a refinement and the meeting with the team, a maturity flow for the story itself. Is the story ready for the team, right? So there's a pre-phase that's getting the story developed and matured and ready for the team. And then there's the phase when they're in the sprint, which is the team's working on it. So I kind of break it to thought process on the workflow. Now, in the beginning workflow, this is how I measure it. This is key because it puts measurements and metrics on the product owner and business analyst, like I said. As the story matures, we do a pie diagram. Let's say just like the next sprint or the next 2 sprints. Like, how mature is the backlog in the next sprint? How mature is the backlog in the sprint after that? And I usually stay about 2 sprints. You don't need more. You got your current sprint and you got 1-2 sprints after that in the future. They're going to be there. And in those pie diagrams, or you can use a burn down chart if you like. You can even use cumulative workflow. However you want to do it, but I'll do a pie chart, something simple that just measures what shape are the stories in the next sprint. Are they just open? Are they 20% open? 50% getting started, the next 50% ready for the team. So I had this like 2 extra statuses in there, and I measure that because it helps prepare the product owner to be ready for the next sprint. And me as a Scrum Master, I would go and say, hey, we're getting ready. Sprint planning's coming up. We need to have those stories ready. Are they not ready? We haven't met with the team. I see a lot of stories that aren't, quote, team ready yet, whatever our definition of ready. And again, in that sprint 0 is where we come up with the definition of ready, just to give it a shot. We mature it the next 4 sprints to enhance that definition of ready based on what we're seeing coming out of the business side, seeing coming out of the product owner, seeing coming out of the business analyst, and we adjust that definition ready to what the team needs to be able to code the thing. So they're all learning. That's what that sprint 0 really helps with. So, but now it gives them metrics or goals for the business owners, because I'll be honest with you, I get a lot of questions from managers. How do I measure how my product owner is doing? How do I measure how my business analysts are doing? And my question is, how mature is the backlog? You get measured based on the backlog as well as that goes. And then in the end, delivering product. But that's a whole team thing. That's a future thing. But those are my 3 simple metrics I do. I do velocity is if I did it with time, my favorite is velocity because I can do so much with that. My next favorite is the burn down chart, but now in order. And then my third one is the backlog health. Now, if you're doing the sprint 0, actually your backlog health would come out first, right? Because you're building a backlog for the team during that sprint 0. That's the goal. Before sprint 0, they should have work in their sprint for sprint 1, right? And they get the same time as a normal sprint. I want them getting into that cadence. So my favorites are velocity, the sprint burn down, and then the maturity of the backlog. Now, as from a time standpoint, maturity of backlog might be first, okay? Then sprint burn down, and then velocity, because the maturity of the backlog you can do in that sprint 0. Your first burn down may or may not look like anything in sprint 0. It may be a straight line and down. Who knows? You want to get them thinking about, and then definitely in sprint 1, you get that burn down part because they're still doing work. And then it takes 3 to 4 sprints to really get a good velocity out. So if I did by time, it would be maturity of the backlog, but I don't put that first because most people don't think about that. It's just from my experience. Number 2 would be the burn down chart, and number 3 would be the velocity in order of time when these metrics mature. Because the very first sprint, you can do the maturity of the backlog. It's like day 1, but you need data in there to get the other ones too. So, but my favorite is the velocity because I can do so much with it. My second favorite is the burn down chart, and my third favorite is the backlog maturity, right? And like I said, I just create a little pie chart for that backlog maturity, put that on a dashboard, simple, easy peasy, right out of the box, nothing fancy. So that's what I had today. I wanted to share that with you. And the reason why I share it, there might be a lot of expert. I got connections that are just starting to be Scrum Masters. I got a lot of connections that have been a Scrum Master for a while. I would love to hear back what your favorite top 3, your favorite starting metrics are, or whatever, and get a dialogue going. If you want to give me, we'll bring it up the next session or one of the future sessions. Feel free to message me. And if you're in the Slack channel, definitely share your top 3. I'll be putting that out on our group Slack channel, which, by the way, is free. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you get free access to our Slack group where we talk about stuff, and I'll be posting that up today as a question from a metric perspective to the members of the work group, because it's nice to have that interaction. Maybe not always on LinkedIn or YouTube or something, but something more personable with agile people that are involved in what we do. And again, like I said, I had Rochelle Williams. She did the interview last Thursday. Check it out. It's pretty good. She talks about what she did and her journey to get a new job and everything, and talked about what her exploring before she went. She went to South America and went to Mexico and did all kinds of things like that. I'm definitely going to try to get her on again and do some future stuff. She's going to be doing some future agile conferences out there in Europe. So hopefully we'll get her back on and get some more people. Don't forget, Definitely need people for meetup. I'm going to do a meetup. I'm going to present today. I'm going to formulate, I'll put it out there for the meetup group. I'm going to talk about, we're at the 15-minute mark, so I got to cut this down short. Anyway, I'm going to talk about priorities because I'm going to start a new mastermind group. Need a couple extra people, so I'm going to give that to the meetup group. See if anybody from the meetup group would be interested in joining the mastermind. I'm not going to charge any money because I want to fill with a good 5 or 6 people in this mastermind group so we can feed off each other and progress. So that's going to be starting soon here in July. Get the summer because fall's coming. Then we're like, oh my God, the whole year's gone. We haven't done what we want to do. Oh boy, my whole year's gone. Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. I want to wish you the best. I want to wish you a happy Monday. Hope you get motivated to go out there and do some stuff. Probably why I want to do the mastermind group with some people just to get myself motivated. I know I got a couple coachees out there that want to get the mastermind up and going again to motivate them to get what they want to achieve. And I don't know, just feel like doing something good. And with that, I want to say happy scrumming. Take care, everyone. I wish you the best. Oh, in our 5th year, tomorrow is our 5th birthday for the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I almost forgot all about that. So maybe we'll hear about that. I'm going to try to make a cake. We'll see. See how my baking skills go for tomorrow's show. With that, I wish you the best. Have a great day and see you again soon. Bye. See ya. Bye, Bubbles.